Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking the incredible story of a startup that flew high and then fell hard. But in that fall, it left behind some incredibly powerful lessons for anyone who's ever dreamed of starting their own thing.
You know, this isn't your typical business story. It wasn't born in a boardroom with spreadsheets and a 5-year plan. Nope. This all kicked off with a simple dare between friends. A challenge that sparked a total obsession.
So to really get this story, you need to know what we're talking about. What even is kombucha? Well, it's this fizzy, fermented tea, and it's made using something called a SCOBY. Think of it as a living colony of good bacteria and yeast. That's what makes it a healthy, probiotic drink. But that key feature, the fact that it's alive, well, that's what made it so appealing, and also what created massive headaches down the road, especially in a place like Gujarat, India, where pretty much nobody had ever heard of it.
Okay, so let's get into part one, how that casual dare really did turn into a serious dream and then a business.
The way this team came together is just, well, it's a startup story. You had one founder, Bhargav, who's literally crashing on his future partner's couch. But they all clicked. They had this mix of skills, e-commerce, communications, and just pure startup hustle. And more importantly, they were all united by this one powerful belief: that people in India were ready for something healthier to drink.
All right, let's dive into the next chapter. See, having a great idea is one thing, but turning it into a real, physical product that you can hold in your hand, that's a whole other ballgame. This is where the real work started.
Their first big fight was over the bottle. Yeah, the bottle. They argued about it for 2 weeks straight. See, the standard in the market was 330 mils, but they felt that was just too much for someone trying kombucha for the first time. Plus, the founder said it looked like a fat milk bottle. So they did something bold. They ignored the standard and went with a smaller 250 ml bottle. It was the perfect single serving, and this is key, it gave them way better profit margins.
Now, crafting the brand was a journey in itself. Their first idea was this kind of American badass swag vibe, like Harley Davidson. But they quickly realized that was way too niche. It wasn't going to appeal to everyone. So they went back to the drawing board, and they even used AI to help brainstorm some unique characters for each flavor. What they ended up with was this super funky pop art look that was designed to catch your eye and appeal to, well, everybody. After a month of what the founder described as borderline arguments over how sour is too sour, they finally nailed down their first 3 flavors. They worked with local home brewers to get the recipes just right, and then they started handing out pilot batches to friends and local cafe owners. The reaction was incredible. People loved it. Some even tried to buy it right there on the spot. And that was all the proof they needed. It was time to go all in. So they had the product, they had the brand. The next step was actually getting it into people's hands. And this is where the romantic idea of a startup crashes right into the gritty reality of running a business.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? They thought they were building this cool, hip brand. But what they learned fast is that a cool brand doesn't mean a thing if you can't actually make the stuff, bottle it, cap it, label it, and ship it. Overnight, they weren't just brand builders. They were running a mini factory and logistics company, all out of their kitchen.
Okay, let's talk numbers, because this is where it gets really interesting. When they sold a bottle directly to a customer, they made about 64 rupees in profit. That's a really healthy 42.8% margin. But if they sold through a retail store, that profit got slashed to just 27 rupees.
And when you see it laid out like this in a chart, the difference is it's stark. That direct-to-consumer margin is more than double what they made from retail. And this right here created a huge problem for them. Do you go for wider distribution through stores, or do you chase the much bigger profits from selling direct? It's a classic startup dilemma.
You've got to love their marketing. It was pure scrappy startup hustle. In India, there's a word for it: Jugaad. It's all about making things work with what you've got. They had flyers and tons of stickers. They even branded a dustbin at their launch party. But my favorite story? They literally stole sand from a construction site nearby just to build a cool beach-themed display for their bottles. I mean, you have to admire the commitment.
But here's the thing. Despite the awesome product, the cool brand, and all that incredible hustle, the business didn't make it. So now we're going to get into the tough part, the unwinnable war they were actually fighting. After it was all over, the founder did something most people probably wouldn't.
He sat down and did a brutally honest postmortem. He wanted to know why, and he identified 10 distinct reasons that led to the company shutting down.
So here are the first 5 big ones, and man, they just paint a picture of how hard this was. Their supply chain was a mess. The logistics of shipping a live, fermented drink was a constant nightmare. Strategically, they were focused on making a profit from day one, but in the beverage world, you have to be obsessed with growth first. And maybe the biggest mountain they had to climb, they were trying to create a whole new product category from nothing, which takes millions of dollars in marketing money that investors just weren't willing to give them.
And this quote right here is such a powerful realization. They thought they were competing against other small kombucha brands, but they were wrong. Their real competition for every single inch of shelf space was global giants. They were fighting against sugary drinks like Sting and Coke, brands with billion-dollar budgets. It wasn't a fair fight, it was David versus Goliath.
So what do you take away from a story about failure? Well, as it turns out, failure can teach you some of the most valuable lessons you'll ever learn. Here's the core lesson, the main takeaway from all of this. Your passion, it's the spark, it's essential, but it is not the fuel that keeps the engine running. You also need the market to be ready. You need to be great at operations. You need funding. You need timing. You need all of it to be aligned. Passion by itself just isn't enough.
This slide really frames it perfectly. This is the final balance sheet. On one side, what was lost? The business. That's real. But on the other side, what was gained? Oh, that was invaluable. They walked away with a real-world MBA in sales, product development, branding, lessons you can only learn by being in the trenches and doing the work.
And this really is the ultimate takeaway. It's such a powerful idea. It's a reminder that the journey of trying to build something, of pouring your heart into it, even if you fail, that journey has immense value. It changes you. It builds you.
So we'll leave you with that question to think about. Because in the end, the story of Dope Kombucha isn't just about a fizzy drink. It's about the intoxicating, difficult, and ultimately transformative process of trying to build something new from nothing more than a dare.